You know, at some point, One Piece isn't going to be here anymore. Like, we're not going to have One Piece on a regular basis anymore. We're going to have flashbacks. We're going to have fillers. We're going to have things that are explained. We're going to have what-if videos, explained videos, giving us more information about the lore of One Piece, things that we probably missed, but new information every week or every other week when there's not a break. That's going to cease. It's going to be a time when that happens. Like, think about Naruto. Like, we felt like Naruto was invincible. Like, Naruto was never going to end. Like, you felt like Naruto would survive no matter what. With Naruto getting a sequel, that Naruto would live on, but Boruto has been a complete failure, I guess, in regards to the expectations of it. Of course, some people do like it, but it's not Naruto. Bleach ended early, which the ending of Naruto and Bleach effectively ended an era, the Big Three era. Now it's One Piece and the rest of them. There are other anime that are coming up, like Yaiba and My Hero. Nanatsu no Taizai had a moment, but then that fell off. Attack on Titan has moments, but then no one has had the consistency that One Piece has had. Of course, Dragon Ball pops up every now and then, but One Piece is indisputably the king of shonen. I think that's clear. No one is ever going to doubt Dragon Ball's legacy, but just the staying power and the consistency of One Piece quality-wise, nothing is like it, and nothing ever will be like it. So the ending of it, hearing that it's so soon, possibly, is somewhat terrifying. What do I mean? So Oda had an interview recently and he was asked certain questions. And one of the things he stated was that he would like to finish One Piece in 5 years. And this interview was last week. There are a few things about this. 5 years seems really soon considering that we're still in Wano. Wano probably is going to last the end of this year, 2019, and then go into 2020 towards the latter part of that year. Then what do we have left? Albath, a conflict with Blackbeard, the conflict with the world government. So let's say 3 to 4 arcs. Can that be wrapped up in 5 years? Considering the breaks, is that really plausible? In Wano, people have already given criticism. I mean, myself included, saying that Wano seems sometimes rushed. Like, things are not being shown, things are off screen, or things are just touched upon that we should get some more information about, and it seems different. It's no real build-up. It just seems like Oda has a plan to get to, and he's doing whatever it takes to get to that. And then the release of the Viver cards, in which he's given us so much information about the characters that probably should be in the story, i.e. Sengoku having King's Haki, Fujitori's Devil Fruit, things like that should probably be in the story, but he's releasing it via SBSs, via the main thing, the Viver cards, letting us know that he wants to really end this series. I don't think One Piece ends in 5 years. I think he would like to end it in 5 years, but we know how Oda writes. He's going to find something, he's going to add information, and then it's going to end up being 7 to 10 years, in my opinion, before One Piece ends. I'm okay with that. One Piece has already been going for 2 decades, so I think one more decade wouldn't hurt, but we have to think about the actual person, the man that is Oda. He spent most of his adult life writing this series, if not all of it. And I think at some point you have to look back and say, hey, how can I enjoy the fruits of my labor? I have to end the series. Maybe he continues writing something else, but the strenuous task of One Piece has to end. I've always asked people, like, do you think One Piece should have a sequel? I think a prequel makes more sense, and maybe that's released monthly by Oda to give him more time, and it doesn't even have to be 50 pages or anything. The same 20 pages, but monthly, and that would be less strain on him, and we could still have One Piece around for years to come. But with the end of One Piece, it had me thinking. It got me thinking about the Straw Hats and the legacy of the Straw Hats. And 40 years from now, as far as, like, you know, with Oda finishing up the story, because I think we're going to get a time skip into the future, and then 40 years from the current timeline, what will the legacy of the Straw Hats be? For Luffy, we know that he's going to be the king of the pirates. That's going to be what people remember about him. But what about some of the information that we don't necessarily know about, or they don't know about? The warlords he's defeated, how he escaped Impel Down. You know, over time, as stories progress, they change or they become more astronomical. For instance, Luffy invading Impel Down is going to be that he invaded Impel Down by himself and that he escaped by himself. That's going to be the narrative, because that's just how stories are. Over time, they become more and more crazy. I think just the story of Luffy being told from the people he's interacted with is going to be one of legend, even greater than Roger's, because Luffy is going to accomplish what Roger did and even more in less time. So you have to acknowledge that fact, that he's going to be greater than even Roger. And Roger, we know, is great. For Zorro, he's going to be the world's greatest swordsman, of course, the right hand of the Pirate King. The legend of Zorro is already here. Like, we know what people say about Zorro, that he probably could be a captain if he wanted to. That's the aura he carries around. The disposition he has is one of a captain. His sword is going to be of legend, one that people are probably going to search for. I wonder where he's going to lay that to rest, because we know he could possibly be a Shimotsuki or related to them. Could he be buried with his sword? Maybe. And 40 years from now, I think the Strawhats are going to still be alive, but projecting, you know, after their death, they're going to have these legacies. Sanji, finding the all blue. We're not exactly sure what that means at this point because it hasn't been touched upon in such a long time. We're assuming it is the merging of the seas in One Piece and the destruction of the Red Line, but what's the legacy of that? How does that tie back to Sanji? I don't think it does at all. Yeah, that's his dream and that's his goal, but in the future, no one's going to say, well, Sanji Vinsmoke is the person that made this happen, is going to go back to Luffy. But the legacy of Sanji is going to be he's probably the world's greatest cook, or the greatest cook that the world has ever seen. But his dream is important, and we assume for the end of One Piece and just the climax of it, the culmination of sorts of an entire story. Nami, the world's greatest navigator, drawing an entire map of One Piece. I wonder, after they find Raftel and they liberate the world, does Nami have a map of their entire journey? Of course she's going to have that, but does she document every single thing? I'm talking about, whereas people can visit Raftel somewhat casually because the Straw Hats would have unlocked the way to get there. You know, in Pokemon, sometimes you can't get in certain places, like, you know, that Sudowoodo where you had to water it before you get there, but after you water it and the Sudowoodo is gone, no, everybody can pass through. Something like that. Robin, the last Oharan, being able to decipher the poneglyphs. What is her role 40 years from now? Is she still alive? There's been foreshadowing that she's going to be kidnapped at some point, but she said she has strong people around her, so she's not worried. I'm really worried for Robin's safety and just her legacy going forward. Of course, we know that she's going to be the person to translate the poneglyphs in the future, but what is going to be the legacy of the Oharans? Is it going to be positive? It should be, but they could also always have that stain. But I think it should change over time as the true history of the world is revealed, and then the world knows that this is what Ohara is trying to bring to us. This is the truth they were trying to tell us. So ultimately, I think it should be positive. Jinbei, what is his legacy? For the most part, I'm not sure, because Jinbei, he has several ties. He's been tied to Whitebeard. He's been tied to Big Mom. He's been tied to Arlong, Fisher Tiger. I think he's going to go down as the greatest fishman of all time next to Fisher Tiger. But there are things about Jinbei that we overlook because he's such a good person now, but we somewhat forget that he kind of released Arlong on East Blue. Ultimately, we can tell Jinbei at his core is a great person. Like, he always had great intentions. But what are you going to remember Jinbei by? What are you going to remember Jinbei for? Being somewhat indecisive? Of course, he wants to become a Straw Hat, but it seems like every time he's on the cusp, something else comes up. So I'm not sure where the legacy lies for Jinbei. I'm interested in what you guys think about that. Frankie, the world's greatest carpenter, building the ship for the Pirate King, of course. That's clear. That's defined. That's what Frankie's going to be known for going forward. How he ties into the future ancient weapons, who knows? But I think Frankie, his legacy is going to be tied to building the world's greatest ship for the Pirate King. Brook is an interesting one because he's a musician, right? And of course, he wants to find Laboon and all that stuff, but what is his legacy? The Rumbar Pirates are no more. Does he go down as the world's greatest musician? I don't think that's a thing. Where does he lie in all this? Is he a forgotten character at the end of One Piece? Chopper, the world's greatest doctor, the person that's going to be able to cure whatever disease is out there, the person that should prolong Luffy's life or somewhat cure Luffy from whatever may plague him. But we have to factor in Luffy has been reckless throughout his life and he has bet some lifespan, you could say. Can Chopper restore lifespan? Usopp will have the most misleading legacy out there. What I mean is Usopp is going to be remembered for great exploits, but in reality, and I guess going to what actually happened, it's not going to match up. So people are going to have documented things of what they think happened based on the outcomes, but we're going to know exactly what happened, and in comparison, it's going to be just laughable what people say about him. But I think at the end, he's going to be great. He's going to be a hero, a warrior, someone that's viewed on a level as Zorro, Sanji, and Luffy, I think, because of his exploits and what's going to be out there. He's going to be Christopher Columbus. For the people that know what happened, they're going to be like, I'm not sure about that Usopp guy. But Usopp is going to be remembered to be a great hero. It's interesting, and I don't like talking about the end of One Piece because it's sad, because it brings a realism to the end of One Piece, and then when you start analyzing it, you realize that this is going to happen. Like, this is inevitable, and Oda is pushing it there, and he keeps talking about the end of One Piece because think about the strain that it has had on his life. This has been his life, so it's sad, but it's exciting because we're going to finally see the culmination of something we've followed for years. For some people, couple decades. For me, it's been over a decade, but it's been fun. And I just wanted to talk about that quickly because if it does end in 5 years, by 2024, 2025, One Piece is done. But give me your thoughts. Again, you can find this information by Sandman on Sandman's Twitter at Sandman_AP. He translates all this stuff. A great follow on Twitter. You can follow me as well at BragoDAce on Twitter because I think myself is a great follow on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Of course, drop a like. That definitely helps the videos as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.